What's going on, YouTube? How are we doing? What's going on, baby? We out here. Keeping It Real podcast. Number 16 with your boy, Lukey V. Thank you very much for watching. If you're a new watcher, viewer, hit the subscribe button. This is my podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Man, we are lit. We are lit every day, baby. It's Wednesday, 1 p.m. I got work. I'm knocking this podcast out. Today, we are talking about Jon Jone. Johnny Bones Jones, baby. Arguably the pound for pound best MMA fighter to ever walk the planet, to ever enter the octagon. Dude, we're talking about the GOAT right now. Yeah? He's got a little checkered past when it comes to maybe some PEDs, maybe some cocaine history, maybe some alcohol abuse, maybe some DUIs. He's got a checkered past for sure. Oh, I'm feeling. Oh my. Ready? Oh, y'all heard that? I gotta go on the foam roller. Bro, Johnny Bones will crack that neck. Boom, just like that. Johnny Bones is a beast, man. He is fighting Dom Reyes this Saturday, February 8th. 8th. February 8th. Man, it should be a good fight. It should be a good fight. We got Dom Reyes. Of course, he's not trying to get beat mentally before he already enters the octagon. That's not what you want to do, especially against Jon Bones. Like, Johnny Bones is the most. He's the youngest ever UFC champion. What did he defend his UFC belt? Probably the most. Probably. Maybe Demetrius Johnson has more title defenses. Let's just throw this out there. That Demetrius Johnson did not lose that second fight to Henry Cejudo. So Henry Cejudo's hype the past 2 years and the success he gained is from a fight he should have lost. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, him versus Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson 2 went 5 rounds, went to the decision, and in all reality, Henry Cejudo did not beat the champion of the world. It was a close fight. It was a close fight. But you're the UFC champion, right? You're the UFC champion. You are, at the time, dude, DJ was, and still is, arguably the best fighter ever, pound for pound ever. You know what I'm saying? Him and Jon Jone are really the two arguments. But DJ, he went in there, 5 rounds, stood his ground, and honestly, and just didn't lose. Like, he didn't lose that fight. Like, yeah, there were some crazy scrambles and some crazy combos and exchanges and punches thrown, and it was chaos for a lot of the fight. But he didn't you didn't dethrone him. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, because that's probably just the UFC and Dana White just. It seemed like they didn't get along with Demetrius Johnson in the aspect of, look at what Henry Cejudo's doing, like this whole cringe thing that everybody's talking about, and anyone who's watching UFC, you kind of know this little short. He's dating WWE wrestlers. He's an Olympic wrestler, an Olympic gold medalist, and Demetrius Johnson was more on the quiet end. He was a little bit less trash talky, a little bit less. He wouldn't show up to fights with all these goofy antics the way Triple C does. But this weekend, we're talking about one man only. We're talking about that boy Johnny Bones. Johnny Bones Stones Jones Bones, baby. But he's fighting Dom Reyes. Dom Reyes is an ex-football player. I believe he played up to Division I and had a few chances to get some runs in the NFL or whatever it may be, and didn't get to hold his own in the NFL. So he moved over to MMA like I think 10 years ago. So he's been doing MMA for almost a decade, I think, is what they were saying. And the way he's going about the fight, and the press conference and all the press and all the interviews is really smart. It's really a good way to go. And it may affect Jon. Who knows? I think Jon has moved past that. I think Jones is just, he's really focused. He's really mentally strong. He's like, even though he has that checkered past, and you can maybe define him as a wild man or a crazy guy because he's doing all this crazy, got a DUI, did cocaine, doing hella cocaine at the time. He failed the drug test basically because he was doing cocaine mixed with like creatine and stuff. So it was kind of crazy. He has a crazy past, honestly. But bro, you're fighting in the well. First off, anyone who's fighting in the octagon, it's got to be a little crazy. You have to be a little nuts in the head to fight in the octagon. Respectfully crazy, but crazy. You know what I'm saying? So he's crazy in that aspect, and then he's crazy in other aspects. But like, to be the world champion that he is, to come in at the age that he came into the UFC and to beat the UFC legends that he did, the reason why everybody knows, well, Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor, and he trash talks and basically called a bunch of first round knockouts and then did first round knockouts. That's why Conor McGregor got super famous in all reality. Johnny Bones, like, the reason why the UFC community and the MMA community, like, yeah, even super hardcore fans like may not like Johnny Bones Jones, or like, but they respect his quality of MMA. Like, he's a beast, bro. Like, when he fought Vitor Belfort, and he freaking Belfort, whatever his name is, and he got caught. He would get caught in an arm bar, and his arm got hyperextended, probably completely dislocated, whatever it was. And then he just didn't tap out. And he was young bull. He was a young bull. It wasn't like he had years and years of MMA under his belt. He was like a rookie to it, and he was still just a savage, bro. He had his arm basically getting torn apart, and he's not tapping out. And then later in that fight, the next round, I'm pretty sure, he put Vitor Belfort in a Kimura and tapped him out. Won by submission. Crazy. Like, if you watch his fight against Jon Jones, Alexander Gustafsson won. Bro, Jon didn't even really train for that fight. He was all up on cocaine and alcohol and doing all these crazy drugs and all these crazy partying and stuff. And he went out there and fought 5 rounds with Alexander Gustafsson. It was the toughest fight of his career for sure. But he went out there with no training, fought a 5-round war, arguably the best fight in UFC history. And he came out there and he won. He won. You know what I'm saying? People make the argument that he lost that fight. He didn't lose that fight. Like I said about the same thing with Henry Cejudo, Demetrius Johnson. Like you're very biased if you think Jon Jones lost, Alexander Gustafsson won, because you don't want Jon Jones to win. But if you look at the picture, Jon was winning the first few rounds and then found himself in some deep water and basically swam himself out of that deep water in the 4th and 5th round. And that 4th and 5th round saved Jon Jones's. Could it saved his legacy? Saved that fight for sure. He saved that fight for sure. But that's just the will. Like, you have to be crazy. Like, he's doing all the cocaine and whatever he's doing because he's a crazy man, bro. He's out there getting his arm torn apart, not tapping out because you know what he said why he didn't tap out? He's like, I worked too hard to tap out. Like, you're gonna have to break my arm or something. He said something similar to that. That's a mindset, bro. That's the mind right there, dog. That's some deep ass, you know what I'm saying, bro? That's the mind. Johnny Bones, and that's the thing, is he's so good. And he's so good, bro. Like, you watch him fight, like, his stand-up is with anybody, bro. Like, he can stand up and bang with anybody. Like, he's gonna outpoint you. Like, you want to point fight Jon Jones? Go ahead. He's gonna freaking outpoint you every single time. And then when you try to get in close or try to bum rush him like Thiago Santos did. Jon Jones fought Thiago Santos very boring and very methodically, but like, he could have fought him any way he wanted to. If he wanted to take Thiago Santos down and try to wrestle him and tap him out or ground and pound him, he could have, and he said he would have, but he wanted to prove that he could stand up and bang with the black belt Muay Thai fighter and black belt in maybe Taekwondo he was as well, maybe kickboxing, I'm not sure. But Thiago Santos was a very high level striker, and Jon Jone is like, I'll strike with him just to prove that I'm a better striker. Personally, I think we all knew he was a better striker, and nobody talks about. Real analysts and real MMA fans talk about how quality Jon Jones' grappling is, because it is what it is. But he doesn't even use it all the time. Like Daniel Cormier, bro, he knocked him out with a head kick. Think about that. Just was fighting him, throwing elbows, spinning elbows, back fist, back hands, spinning side kicks, heel kicks. Dude, spinning heel kicks, body kicks, spinning body kicks, a lot of spins, and what he does is he aims to hurt people. Like, he's not trying to knock you out. That's the problem, is a lot of these fighters, they go out there, like, if sometimes, like, you'll be like, all right, this guy's trying to knock this other guy out. Jon never comes out trying to do that. He never comes out trying to knock someone out. You could comment below if there's a fight where he came out a little bit harder than others, but he comes out there like a savage in the wind, a savage in the dust, crawling out of the dumpster like a raccoon on a freaking prom night dumpster baby. Oh my god, yeah, that was a great Family Guy episode. But dude, Jon comes out there slow like a snow leopard ready to pounce on a bald eagle, baby. And next thing you know, Jon is in there and he's just in the flesh, and he's just slow, methodical, controlling the fight. He controls distance better than any other fighter. He controls the octagon better than any other fighter. He controls what's about to happen in the fight better than any other fighter. Like, he's gonna step somewhere. I know you're gonna step. He knows what he's doing to get a reaction out of you. All these fighters do. All these professional fighters and these MMA guys, they're so smart. But Jon is on another level. Jon Jones is on another level. His IQ is so high, especially in that lightweight division. Like, the people that he's fighting, they're just not there with him. They're just not there with it. It's not the same game. I'd like to see what Dominic Reyes is gonna do, because I do like that little. He's just a man. Like, I see right through him. He's just a man. He has a lot of insecurities. I like that. That's a cool stance. But dude, low key, bro, that's Johnny Bones, bro. He's not just a man, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's proved why he's the pound for pound king in the MMA world. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoo, man, this is lit. This is what UFC does, though. You watch a little like countdown, like, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, bro, I'm hyped for this fight. Like, these are two men that nevertheless basically train their whole entire life when it comes to fighting, especially like Dominic Reyes is a type of, like, Jon Jones doesn't really respect Dominic Reyes. You can tell, because Reyes he's an ex-football player, thinks he came into MMA. I'm an athlete. I can do these things. I can learn quicker than you guys, whatever it may be. And Johnny Bones doesn't like that. And he said that. But you're dealing in current day MMA and current UFC, you're dealing with these guys that, dude, Khabib has spent, however old what is he, 30 something years old? He spent 30 years wrestling. 30 years wrestling, and then whatever amount of years doing MMA, but still including like 30 years of wrestling technique and practice and all that under your belt. Like, it's there's levels to that shit, bro. There's levels to this shit. And that's really what Jon might teach him, is there's levels to this game, brother. Like, you might come out here, you might starch old Chris Weidman because he shouldn't be fighting anymore, in my opinion. He's a little too old and too weathered, especially moving up in weight. You're dealing with even bigger guys. Like, you don't want to cut weight. That's why you're moving up. But you're dealing with younger guys that are cutting weight. You know what I'm saying? And that's just... And the weight cutting is an interesting conversation, because that's really unhealthy. It's really unhealthy for these guys to sit there and cut this weight. They come in, they fight at 170. They come in a little below 200 pounds or whatever it may be, maybe 180, 190. Usually it's around 190. And then they cut 15 to 20 pounds of pure water weight the next day just to make weight. And then they're just bulking up. So you see Darren Till got knocked out a few times before he moved up to 185 when he was fighting at 170. Bro, he would start cutting weight at almost 200 pounds. They said when he fought Cowboy Cerrone at 170, Cowboy Cerrone was probably exactly once in the octagon of that night, he was probably 170, 175. You know what I'm saying? I doubt he was closer to 180 than he was 170. They said Darren Till walked into the octagon close to 210, 200 pounds. That's insane. That's a gorilla, bro, coming in there and fighting a 170. Oh my God, bro. And you watch that fight, you watch Darren Till come in and smash Cowboy with that elbow, and you're like, oh God, get him out of there. Get him out of there, bro. Cowboy, no. Oh, dude, Darren Till looked like a beast. But then he looked a little bit, he looked like smaller frame. Well, then he blew up and went to he fought good against Wonderboy. He fought smart against Wonderboy. It's very hard to beat Wonderboy. He beat Wonderboy. That's respect to Darren Till. That was part of the hype train. And then he starched. Did he starch anybody else? I know he fought a few guys younger, but that Cowboy and Wonderboy fight was big. And then I guess they just threw him to the wolves, the old Tyron Woodley, and Tyron Woodley ate him like some chicken barbecue and some Alabama sauce, baby. You know what I'm saying? Dude, first round, I don't think there was even a punch thrown. They were sitting there just fainting. Faint. I literally think Darren Till threw 2 punches. And then second round, he kind of cocks up and he does his little Darren Till, the push punch to lead up to the left hand, and then got caught. Because I like Darren Till, so I kind of know a little bit about his style and stuff. So he got caught, and his ground game wasn't that good, but he was taking hella damage by Tyron. And Tyron's got a freaking cannon of a right hand, bro. He's got a cannon coming through. I don't know how a lot of these guys don't break their jaw. Like Tyron would, like, you see, like, look, like a beast, bro, like a beast. Like, I feel like if Tyron Woodley came up and punched me, like, I would just explode. You know what I'm saying? Just it's like, oh, there goes Lukey. He got punched, man. See you, buddy. See you guys. Just got punched by Tyron Woodley. And then Tyron Woodley got smacked around by Kamaru. That was surprising. I did not think Kamaru Usman was gonna beat Tyron Woodley. I was like, Tyron's a better wrestler, striker. Like, what is he gonna do? Came out here and whooped that bull's ass, bro. Came out here and gave him an ass whooping. I'll be honest. I was like, Tyron, bro. I mean, let's be real. Like, was Woodley in the right frame of mind? There's no way. You watch him fight, and he's sitting there just like, fuck, man, I'm getting beat up right now, man. It's like, does this guy even want to be? Did this guy? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? But I think Tyron got hit with the champ mentality. Once you become champion, like a UFC champion, you get the fame, you get the money, a little bit more fame, a little bit more money. To some extent, a lot more fame, a lot more money. So some people don't know how to handle it. So, and it's only understandable, bro. It's only understandable. But man, this Johnny Bones fight, man. This Johnny Bones, dude. I don't know what's gonna happen. Honestly, this is gonna be my assumption. I'd cry. I honestly may or may not cry if John would to get like knocked out. That would be so ass. Dude, if Johnny Bones gets knocked out, I would cry. I literally would probably cry. I would probably like, damn, bro, his legacy. I probably would cry. Johnny Bones, bro, not you, bro. But I don't think he's gonna get knocked out. Knock on wood. I'd say if they don't go to a decision, then maybe John might tap him. Maybe even similar to the way it was with Gustafsson, where John's just on his back, just mauling him, controlling him on his back. And John probably could have went in there and just rear naked choked Gustafsson, but he just went up and started wailing on him. So I think it might be similar to that. Maybe a second, third, fourth round. We'll see how the fight goes, but in all reality, John may or may not just completely dictate this fight. And if we see, personally, I think Dominic Reyes may or may not, dude, I don't know. Because is he a more threatening fighter than Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith? Because Jon Jone, I don't want to say he didn't fight them well. He beat both them guys. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Smith, he beat every single round. Thiago Santos was a little bit closer because it was just a stand-up point fight, honestly. is Dominic Reyes a more difficult opponent, and was Jon Jones playing with his food? Because people are like, oh, Jon didn't really come out that hard those last 2 fights. I feel you, and I can kind of agree. And I know where you're coming from. But just look at the Gustafsson fight. He looked world class. Jon Jones. You know what I'm saying? You were like, oh, God, he did this to Gustafsson just like that. Who's beating him? Especially at 205. Who's touching him? No one. So we'll see. If he's got his mind right, bro, I don't see anybody beating him. And I hope no one ever does, because Johnny's the beast, bro. We will see. February 8th, UFC, whatever it is. I don't even care. 2-something. 240, 250. Who cares? Who even knows? I'm trying to watch McGregor again, baby. That's how I'm coming. Yee! Yeehaw, cowboy. All right, guys, Jon Jones, let me know. Let me know who you think's going to win. Let me know how, what round, what's going on. Subscribe, like. Thank you so much for keeping it real with me. God bless. Thank you, guys. I'm outie.